Welcome back to Blockbuster Analysis. On today's episode, we will be covering live action Moana and
Woo!
other live action remakes, primarily live action Moana. Would you like to get us started, Anubis, on our thought? We have the same thoughts. You want to tier list it first, actually? You want to
Yeah.
open
Oh
with
my
our
God. I
regular
didn't
tier
even
listing?
think about tier listing. I was just so deeply involved with how much I sat down and I was like, I'm hoping this is going to be worth it because I feel like I'm going to think, why am I watching this? And then we hit the first musical number and I was like, it was the latter. D tier. In the spirit
Yeah,
of
D
Tyler
tier.
Grover, I would say disappointing, and mainly in the sense of I don't know what I would have expected. But we'll get into it later comparing other live actions. But really, it's like I would have expected something that this could have given me to take away and be like, there's something worthwhile from this live action that I didn't get from the original release. However, I did not feel that way. So straight down to D.
I 100% agree. This is probably at the bottom of my D
Oh, my
tier,
leg!
honestly, because as disappointing as something like The Bride and Backrooms was for me, it's just this one, oh my God. This was such a nothing burger of a film. And it's like, and I rewatched both of the animated Moanas to prepare for this one because I had a
There's a
whole ass plane
second? I
ride.
forgot about that. Holy shit.
The second one's actually controversial in terms of its quality. I thought it was good. My Letterboxd review is on screen right now, probably, maybe. And it is just Moana assembles a band of autistic people and goes on the same journey again. And the song numbers aren't as good, but like the
Mm.
original concepts of the second Moana movie are really, really good. With that being said, it's actually important that I said that about the second one because that is pretty much my opinions of the live action one, where it is the exact same thing that I have already seen, except this time there aren't any original concepts.
Right.
So the only thing I thought Moana 2 did good doesn't exist in this movie. And then the musical numbers, I think the only musical numbers that were good was Moana. Period. The actress from Moana tried so hard. She wanted to salvage the film. This was her big break, and unfortunately, because this film is full of watered down versions of the original soundtrack, it falls so flat. Yeah, easily bottom a D tier movie. I heavily debated putting this in F, but like you know, I do technically like it because I like the original. It's like, oh,
Right.
but like,
I
that's
feel like,
that's my
yeah.
enjoyment is I'm seeing the story that I really like again. So I'm gonna keep it out of F tier, but it's fucking teetering.
And I really like what you say about the actress's performance. Forgive us viewers at home, we're doing this over distance, so our original setups aren't up. But I agree. I liked that I was able to see her kind of really be very expressive during those musical numbers, because to hit us right off, what I thought about, which is the Wicked movies that we saw late last year, where the numbers were very captivating. Like the way that the ensemble moved around on screen was very coherent, and every piece kind of led into each other. Whereas I feel like with this one translating the animated into the live action, that's where a lot of the disengagement came for me.
Oh my
Where
God, don't even get me started on your
yeah.
welcome. That number was abysmal.
Yeah, it's like this movie was so blue screen, and like, of course, that's what I would expect. But I mean, then we have James Cameron's avatars. With a studio like Disney, I would have expected something a little more, some more oomph from what we were expecting. But then it kind of just it fell flat. And like that's the very first thing for me, like the way that the opening musical number was shot and connected with each other. It kind of felt just a little awkward with the way that it was cut, because it definitely felt like cutting for an animated movie. And then immediately I was like, okay, well, a movie like Wicked or Chicago, another really, really good musical movie, like the way that they connected those musical numbers, I think this was a big fault of this movie.
I agree. And the performances in general, both in and outside of musical numbers, just felt so boring. Like everyone's like, ah, great, we're doing this again. Especially Dwayne Johnson and Tamatoa's voice actor. I was all like, you guys are phoning this in so incredibly hard. To me, this was a movie made for The Rock's ego, as he's first on the poster. He doesn't even appear until almost halfway through the film. He
This
he
is
he
true.
beats out the star of the film as the first name on the poster. That's not okay. And on top of that, he's all over the marketing. I saw a clip that they at the live action premiere, I think it was somewhere. Lin-Manuel Miranda came in and started singing "You're Welcome," and then Dwayne Johnson comes in halfway through. And while the crowd was freaking out, the comments of that post I saw were just saying, "So why are we doing Maui's song in a Moana movie as the marketing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. This is Moana's movie." And I think that's why the actress for Moana put her whole heart and soul into her performance,
It was
because
great.
she knew she was going to get overshadowed by Dwayne Johnson, who doesn't even deserve the platform that he has. I think this is the first time he's ever lost a fight in live action, because he does technically lose to Taka. If you want to consider that a draw, I guess it is technically closer to a draw than a loss. But like, even then, I was ugh. Like, he literally Johnsonified this movie, and it was so abysmal. And I was so disappointed. This movie exists to push his brand and to push his ego. Like, oh, look at me, I'm a demigod on screen this time.
Even though I already beat Jason Statham.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't keep the DC universe, so I'm gonna take Moana. Like, fuck off. And again, his performance in You're Welcome just pales in comparison to the original.
Yeah, especially with like how flashy it's able to be. The VFX felt a little oversaturated for me at some points, especially with the I don't know what the crab's name is. Fun fact, I actually
Kamatoa.
that's the okay, yeah. That's the only song I actively disliked. I disliked it as much as I did watching the original animated movie.
I know that sounds bad. Really? I
Yeah.
love Shiny.
It's just the visual effects in
Shiny.
this live action one kind of just felt it tried to kind of mend the original wit of the animation, which of course, like, why wouldn't you want to try to capture some of that magic? But then again, just keep it animated, because trying to combine the two worlds, I feel like visually for me personally was a little bit of a whiplash, trying to decide in my brain, should I see this as a live action movie and see these as live effects, or like attempted live effects, or should I see this in a cartoony manner, where in which then the consequences that these this animation quality kind of just falls a little bit more flat.
I agree. Like, oh, look at me and my live action remake of this movie, except 90% of it's going to be built on a fucking computer, and the actors are going to act with no one and be in blue screens for the entire time.
Especially with like two main people for a majority of the film, albeit the first 20 minutes of exposition, it's just Moana and Maui.
Exactly. Oh, that must have sucked, having to be in a room with sweaty Dwayne Johnson in a muscle suit.
Yeah, that must have been horrible.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I severely dislike Dwayne Johnson. I, like, as horny as I get on this show and this channel, I don't think I would be. I deadass think Dwayne Johnson is such a turnoff for me.
Yeah, I could definitely see some of his like ego poking through. I will say some of those humorous quips that happened, like, it is true I have luscious hair, or like all the times he was being so like over the top conceited and being like, I'm so great, what can I say except you're welcome. Those did hit quite well for me, but with the rest of the performance and then how it plays throughout the story, yeah, after a while I ended up getting fatigued and being like, okay, let's make this about Moana and her journey again, please.
I agree. That was something the second film kind of suffers from. It has Maui scenes that Maui doesn't need to be there. I only twice, though. I only felt that way twice. For the rest of Maui's screen time, I liked it. But after the success of the original You're Welcome and Maui in general as a character, I felt like the franchise is geared towards, hey, look, it's Maui again, and less so Moana and her journey. And I'm like, that's so disappointing. I care more about Moana than I ever will Maui.
Right, especially because, as with any animated Disney movie, I would hope, A, it's catered towards younger audiences, and B, it's a coming of age story, especially, you know, with how rich it is in the culture and in the age demographic. So like, us focusing on this demigod who sure has a fall from grace and learns to reconcile with that, and then use this seemingly younger, more naive character to help navigate those things. It's like, we could have had more Moana time instead of. Yeah, I see what you mean now, especially the more that you mentioned it. This feels like, hey guys, it's Maui again, even though the movie's called Moana.
I agree entirely. It's upsetting and it's disappointing. To me, this movie fails to recapture the magic that makes the first one so good. And I think 10 years is just too soon for a remake.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What generation is exposed to this that wasn't exposed to it 10 years ago? 2-year-olds that are now 12? That most definitely saw the first one on Disney Plus and probably saw the second one last year
Disney Plus, yeah.
when it came out. 10 years is too long. I think barely for How to Train Your Dragon. That movie came out in 2010, and the remake came out in 2025. And I think 15 years is enough time. That's enough time for somebody who saw the first one to fully graduate high school
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
and have the
finishing
entire
grade
third one.
school.
I really like that. That was good. That's a good time. I think it's the bare minimum. I think I would argue even 14 years is too small. I think 15 is the bare minimum. I personally think they should have waited another 5 to 10. But that movie is able to recapture all of the magic that made the first one so good. I don't know what it was about that movie, but no, I do know exactly what it was with that movie. That movie was just able to take the same score, only reuse one actor, find actors that look and sound like the original characters, and while it is almost a shot-for-shot remake like this movie is, they do add a couple scenes, tweak a few characters, tweak a few lines that is able to recapture it. And you can tell that this isn't made for Gerard Butler's ego is stoic the vast. This is made for the fans to bring in new fans, but not to mischaracterize what the original film was. And everyone who was involved in this project and the previous project, you can see the love that they poured into the new How to Train Your Dragon versus this new Moana. That there was none of that original love. I would argue there was very little of the love put into Moana 2 that was put into this version of Moana.
Right. I mean, yeah, that makes sense with putting love into it and giving it to a new audience. Because, I mean, I definitely know a lot of people who are like, well, why would I watch an animated movie? And then I point them to like fucking, Minions: Rise of Gru, of course. Having a live action adaptation of something, I feel like, is definitely something that can help benefit. Having it be more realistic for anyone who's like, why would I watch a cartoon? This is specifically catered for kids. So, especially with the amount of time that it's been, yeah, absolutely, that could really help bring in new people and former fans alike. But yeah, you're right. I personally, I've yet to see the How to Train Your Dragon remake, but all I've heard are people raving about it and how well it compares. And like, I can only imagine what kind of experience that is in comparison to this Moana.
In summer of next year, we will be getting the second one. It looks like they're going to go for all three, so that's pretty good. I think they should go for all three.
Oh yeah.
I think having a live they said they want to change a lot in the second one though, which again, this just falls into what I was just saying about the first one. Having the second one be where we start changing things is perfect, as we have now established the same exact baseline as the first movie. Any tweaks that we can now make in hindsight with the story, we should make after the same foundation has been set. Another great example of that, for me at least, is the One Piece remake.
The
Holy
show, the
hell,
Netflix
as
show.
a huge One Piece fan, yeah, the Netflix One Piece live action remake. They're doing an animated live action, or they're doing an animated remake, but this is specifically live action remakes of animated shows.
Right.
But the Netflix live action remake of One Piece is an absolute fucking masterpiece. We have the original mangaka doing the cast. We have very big changes made, but these changes are really, really important. And I would argue create the One Piece world and the One Piece story, or translate it really well from manga to live action, as I would argue that is probably the hardest, because they're adapting the manga, they're not adapting the anime. So by technicality, this should not be in this video, so I'll be quick. But a lot of the changes come in season 2, whereas season 1 they do remove an entire arc, which is a huge change. But the season 2 changes specifically after a very similar foundation of what the first season covers in the manga. Very similar foundations are set. And then the second season, we're changing actor skin tone because Oda's like, I should have made them black to begin with. I don't know why I made Egyptians white. And we're making certain
We've all been there.
villains. Yeah, literally. And we're making certain villains, i.e., Wapple, at the end of season 2. He is now the ending of a season. He's too ridiculous to be the ending of a season villain. He's not scary at all. They made him terrifying in the One Piece live action. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly the type of changes you need to make when we're only doing 8-episode seasons.
Damn.
And we're not going to cover that much ground. And if we're ending this season right before the climax of the main arc, or like the main saga, yeah, we need to have a character that's as silly and ridiculous as Wapple become terrifying. We didn't do anything like that in the Moana live action. There are absolutely zero changes except for a mention of Tautai Vasa, who's in the second movie. So, oh, cool, we made the connection to the second movie. And some very minor changes to Tamatoa. When they launch out from the realm of monsters, And Tamato's all like, "Do you have any feedback? Any notes? Did you like the song?" I'm like, "Shut the fuck up. Do not
On God.
beg. Do
On
not
God.
beg for feedback." In the original movie, he just says, "Did you like the song?" And I thought that was hilarious because he's not begging for it. Like, this motherfucker will not shut up about feedback for his song. And I'm like, dude, calm down.
You know, I honestly I like that you bring up One Piece because another adaptation to the motion picture that I immediately think of after that is, you know, the Fallout series and how yes, it takes a lot of creative liberties in the sense it follows its own story, its own protagonist, but it still takes what people love from the original, a very wacky game,
I mean,
whimsical.
yeah,
Yeah, and
we
so
fit into the lore of the universe so well.
mm-hmm. Exactly. Which, like, you know, I wouldn't have expected Moana to take that many creative liberties since it's supposed to be. It's a live action. How would it be anything other than a 1-to-1? Like maybe a 1.5-to-1 or a 0.8-to-1, kind of taking these little jumps and hops instead of leaps and bounds, which we saw really neither of, and I think that also really contributed to the feeling of like, why am I here?
Agreed entirely. I agree with that so wholeheartedly. When translating a non-animated or a non-live action thing into live action, you have to change something. We're real people now, and I know a lot of the like choreography and the stunts they changed, but they just made them lamer. I'd rather watch the animated version of Moana escaping the cave because the statue head of Maui, which barely looks like Maui and looks more like an Easter island head
Yeah.
thing. Creepy. It was weird to look at. I know they were trying to replicate Dwayne Johnson. They failed. As she pushes that off in the animated film, she jumps up and climbs out of the hole, and the thing falls. In the live action, it falls against. It's such a minor thing, but I don't care. It falls against the cave wall, and then she stands up on it and climbs out of it. Like, I'm like, no, she's supposed to jump midair. It's way cooler. I like the things we do change are for the worst. And they are tiny and nitpicky, but like they add up by the end of the movie.
Especially with something that's attempting to be a 1-to-1. Those things are far more noticeable in comparison to what you're experiencing for, you know, just about like 2 hours of your sit down time.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you need to give me something to enjoy from
Anything.
this film that I
Anything.
didn't get previously. Unfortunately, most of these live action remakes just don't do that. My next, I guess this isn't a remake, but this is an adaptation. The Sonic movies.
Dude, I'm
Holy,
glad you brought
holy
those up.
fuck, that shit's peak. That's the second to last thing I want to bring up. So if you have anything, you're gonna have to bring it up after Sonic. But
Okay.
Sonic, like, is adapting game stories really, really well. It's like slowly taking from like, oh, Knuckles appeared in this game, so we're gonna cover this game. Like, we're changing a little bit with Metal Sonic and Eggman in the next movie, and Amy is now Silver for some reason. That's when we might start getting a little crazy. But Shadow was done really, really well.
Yeah, dude.
The first Sonic movie was done pretty well, getting Sonic to Earth in general and establishing these characters and then setting them up for Sonic 2 and 3, where they are more like their game counterparts. It was a very interesting take on the Sonic character, and then transitioning into the game versions that we know so well. And then obviously we have Tails and Knuckles, Shadow. Like, come on, Agent Stone? More like Agent Goat.
Oh my god. Yeah, dude, honestly. Of course I want your latte. I love the way you make them.
Yeah, like literally peak performances, peak cinema. Live and Learn started playing peak cinema.
Yeah. Asterisk and asterisk and parentheses. Start boner. Like, it's literally that easy.
Exactly. And those provide something for us that a live action adaptation of Moana just didn't. Like, we didn't learn anything about Moana. We didn't learn anything about Maui. We didn't learn anything about the chief, mom, Tamatoa, Taka, Tafiti. Like, we didn't learn anything about any of these things that were pre-established. It's like like, why? What is the
What's the
point?
point? Yeah. Where Scarlet made me feel like this is the point of movies, this live action adaptation made me feel the antithesis. What was the point?
Fuck, bro, preach. I agree. Quite truly, what was the point? Do you
You
have
know, I also
any
well, I
others?
was gonna. I like what you said about Sonic too, because to my knowledge, the creativity of being like these rings or portals, and then there's this owl that is your owl mother, even though you are a hedgehog. Like, I feel like those are really good examples of creative liberty because it sets up how we get our hero to where everything that we want to matter happens, as opposed to finding some bullshit way or having Sonic there from the beginning. Like, it's a fun way to navigate away from the IP that already exists for decades at this point and just kind of make it fun so that when you do your own adaptation, you can add your own flavor to it. Because, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this is a different director, is it not?
I
I'm gonna
believe
look
you
that
are
up.
correct.
Let's say Thomas Kail was the one from this year, and then Ron Clements and John Musker directed the original Moana 10 years ago. So
Yeah, why would you
yeah,
not want to
it makes
add your own?
sense.
Why would you just want to remake what was already done by someone else? That just sounds so boring. As a director, like I would be bored. I would just be like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, what is my job? Just pay the same guy again. Lin-Manuel Miranda did the music again. Dwayne Johnson and whoever voices Tamato, I forgot his name, just did it again. It's like, why would you want to do it again? I like the idea of taking creative liberties, adding lore, adding your own piece. Come on, give Moana an owl mom.
Dude, honestly. Or make her punk rock, you know?
Make her
Like,
punk rock.
take some themes that people could have gotten from other movies and use what works. It's, I don't know how it might translate into the movie industry, but like in the music industry, you hear a tune that you like and you're like, maybe if I do it this way and then add these other elements to the arrangement, it's taking something that already exists that I like, that works well, and then I'm making it into my own, as opposed to just doing a carbon copy cover, which, you know, again, sometimes carbon copies can work. Like you mentioned with How to Train Your Dragon, changing some scenes or some lines, it does help, but, you know, ultimately there can be very good success stories of a one-to-one, but just with updating the visual appeal.
Exactly. And it's interesting that you mentioned, or that we're talking about this, because the last one specifically I want to talk about is the live action Beauty and the Beast. It's the first one I ever watched. I've never seen the
Oh,
Cinderella one, which, from what I'm told, is the gold standard. It's on my list. And
really?
I saw the
I'll
Jungle
have to
Book one.
watch.
I saw Cruella. I saw Lion King. I could not fucking suffer that. I think I turned it off halfway through. I watched Mufasa, which I thought was
Wow.
much better. And specifically Beauty and the Beast changes a lot of the Beast's character. I think it added 2 songs. It might have just been one, but I'm
It
pretty sure it added
it
2.
added a great song. I will say that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. And that
I
movie
was the
needed
one.
that love, needed that life. Emma Watson and the guy who played the Beast, they put so much energy into their characters, so much love. Like, and this movie was decades and decades and decades old. It needs an update. To me, that's the gold standard.
Right,
Apparently,
yeah.
Cinderella's better. I'll take everyone's word for it. So that's the gold standard. But to me, at least, my bar is the Beauty and the Beast live action remake. If we're not hitting these heights, I simply do not want it. And that's how I feel about Moana, as it adds nothing. And what it does add are tiny little, like Tamato being a little fucking wimpy ass bitch. Get the fuck up, bitch. Fuck you.
Tell the people how you really feel. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
I agree though.
Dude, I love Tamatoa. He's my favorite part of the first movie. He's fucking hilarious. Not in this movie. He's a little bitch. It's interesting to me how much one line of dialogue can truly change everything. Because again, the How to Train Your Dragon remake doesn't change a lot. Just here and there, it tweaks something. It just takes the wrench and it moves it ever so slightly. This movie took the wrench and moved it backwards. It loosened it a little bit. The Beauty and the Beast remake added an entire new pipe to the network and it works even more phenomenally than the original. Yeah, I said it, sue me. But I do love the newer Beauty and the Beast more than the older one, just because of especially the song that they added. Like, that's the gold standard.
And I mean, changing one line from a character that ultimately serves as a catalyst to drive the plot, like it's not someone that we explore again, and it's not someone that is mentioned other than, at least in this one, in that intro cinematic, like seeing a silhouette of the adversaries to come. Like, changing one line can change most of the perception of that character with how little time we have with them.
I agree, especially a character like Tamatoa, who doesn't have a lot to work with. Just adding to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those to me are the live action remakes that, like, that's how you make a good one, versus Moana being the prime example of how not to do one. There's so many ways to adapt
Yeah.
media into live action. You can go the Sonic route, the Beauty and the Beast route, the How to Train Your Dragon route.
Masters of the Universe, even.
Yeah, that's fully adapted from a cartoon into live action. But don't go the Moana route. You're not even playing it safe, because I would argue Safe is How to Train Your Dragon, as it changes very little. This movie just, I don't even know how to describe how it plays it because it's just such a nothing. It's just nothing. You're playing nothing. I could make a better live action Moana because I'd add a whole song. Where? I don't know, but I'd figure it out.
Yeah, give me a reason to come watch your interpretation of. It's like I don't know if I've said it on the show, but like the way I've always said it to like a lot of people that I talk to. My job, probably 40% bare minimum of the reason that I make music, and I'm sure that many people make music, it's art. So the point, listen to me. Like the whole point is listen to me. Like listen to what I have to say, listen to what I have to sing. And so if you're not giving your own flair, it's like, again, why are we here?
Precisely. That's shame on Disney, shame on The Rock, shame on the director for adding no flair to what otherwise is a super flair boyicious, flamboyant, I don't know. The original movie has so much of this flair, so much of this culture
Mm-hmm.
that this movie, while it does have the culture because, we're copying the same beats, we're not adding anything new to the conversation. It's been 10 years. Everyone's probably watched the original Moana that cares about this one at least, has probably watched it at least half that many times, unless you're me, who's only seen it 3 times. Unless we're counting all the times that I never finished it, then I've seen it at least 11. But I've only fully finished it 3 times. I'm not counting the live action one as one of those times because that's ridiculous. But if you have nothing more to add, and I have nothing more to add,
Yeah, I did really good off the cuff, I think.
I agree. Thank you all for tuning in to this analysis episode. We won't have one of these for a while as we have the new set next week for movie Odyssey for Odyssey. Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Dude. Yeah, I really hope I am not disappointed. Be on the lookout for whatever the title of that video is.
Yeah, be on the lookout. Thank you all for tuning in to this discussion on live action remakes. Please or adaptations, we should say. Live action adaptations. Please put your own thoughts in the comments. If anyone wants to talk about the Avatar The Last Airbender live action adaptation, I purposely didn't because I didn't want to. I hate it. There you go. So if you're going to ask, tell someone to go to whatever timestamp this is.
Yeah, or at us on Instagram at the real Blockbuster Banter. Send us some engagement.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you all in the Odyssey.
On the flip, Garv.
On the flip.
Bye-bye.
Bye.